In 2022, Kim Kardashian attended the Met Gala wearing Marilyn Monroe's original dress that she borrowed from Ripley's museum. Much controversy erupted over several different things. She spoke about losing 16 pounds in 3 weeks just to be able to wear the dress, and she appeared to have damaged it. However, Ripley's have denied these claims, saying she only wore the real dress on the carpet and changed into a replica for the rest of the evening. So the question that has recently been raised is, have influencers and modern-day celebrity culture ruined this classic event? The Met Gala is notably the biggest event in pop culture's calendar. It's held as a fundraiser for New York's Metropolitan Museum's Costume Institute and attracts the biggest celebrities to come together for the red carpet event of the year. So what is the Met? The Metropolitan Museum of Art's earliest roots date back to 1866 in Paris, France. A group of Americans agreed to create a national institution and gallery of art to bring art and the education of it to America. On the 13th of April 1870, the Metropolitan Museum of Art was incorporated, opening to the public in the Dodworth building at 681 Fifth Avenue, with its first ever object being a Roman sarcophagus. 10 years later, in March 1880, the museum moved to its home we know today on Fifth Avenue at the edge of Central Park, although it now looks very different due to its expansion and renovations. The Costume Institute began as the Museum of Costume Art, an independent entity formed in 1937, ran by Irene Lewisone, a theatre producer, and Aileen Bernstein, a stage designer. The pair pulled together a collection of costumes that theatre designers could look to for inspiration. In 1946, with the financial support of the fashion industry, the Museum of Costume Art merged with the Metropolitan Museum of Art, creating the Costume Institute we know today. Lewisone and Bernstein's original collection went on to become the foundation of the Met's Costume Institute holdings. In 1959, this became a curatorial department, and now this collection constitutes the largest costume archive in the world, offering an unrivaled timeline of Western fashion history with 35,000 pieces of clothing, jewelry, and accessories that document fashion from the 1600s to now. This is made possible thanks to the generosity of collectors, designers, and the public to expand its collection. So what is the Gala? In order to fund the museum's education programs, conservation efforts, and exhibitions, a fundraising event known as the Costume Institute Benefit, aka the Met Gala, was born. It was originally founded in 1948 by Eleanor Lambert to help raise money for the newly founded Costume Institute and to mark the opening of its annual exhibit. Eleanor Lambert was often referred to as the Empress of 7th Avenue. She was a renowned fashion publicist and a pioneer in the advocacy of American fashion. In 1962, she established the CFDA, the Council of Fashion Designers of America. She also launched the careers of American fashion designers such as Halston and worked passionately to legitimize New York as an international fashion capital. Lambert put American fashion on the map by putting together the now historic event dubbed the Battle of Versailles. Here, French and American designers battled it out by showing off their work. The Americans displayed simple and fresh designs, something completely new to Europeans, whilst the French continued to create pieces of grandeur and opulence. The applause from the audience towards the American designers implies that they in fact won. Lambert had put America on the global stage. Okay, so back to the Met. This event is the main source of annual funding for the Costume Institute exhibitions, acquisitions, and capital improvements. But how did it all start? The first ever Met Gala was a midnight dinner held in December 1948. Ella actually put a poll in the Luxe Circle the other day asking you to guess how much you guys think it cost to go to the first ever Met Gala. By the way, the Luxe Circle is where we have daily conversations with you guys in our community about all things luxury fashion. Anyway, we said $50, $100, $500, or $1,000. Most of you guys got it wrong. A ticket to the first ever Met only cost $50 each. Although this is equivalent to $626 today, but we'll go more onto how much a ticket actually costs today later on. Between 1948 and 1971, the event was not held in the Metropolitan Museum as it is today, but instead in venues such as Central Park, the Rainbow Room, and the Waldorf Astoria. The first attendees were almost entirely members of the latest York Society, or the city's apparel industry, and the event followed its sole purpose as a fundraiser, without changing for 30 years, though it was dubbed the Party of the Year according to the Met itself. It wasn't until the early 70s that the Met Gala began to garner much more publicity. In 1972, former Vogue editor-in-chief Diana Vreeland joined the Costume Institute as a special consultant. Vreeland was a French-American fashion editor. She's the woman for whom the term fashion editor was famously invented during her time at Harper's Bazaar in the 1930s, and it was under her influence that we saw a transition in the culture of the party. It became much more elaborate and celebrity-orientated, drawing attendees from the worlds of fashion, film, society, sports, business, and music. Big names such as Elizabeth Taylor, Andy Warhol, Liza Minnelli, Cher, and Jackie Kennedy were selected for the guest list. It also included socialites such as Pat Buckley, a prominent figure in society well known for attending events and being married to William Buckley. She attended in 1978 and solidified the Met Gala's new reputation as one of the most exclusive charity events on the social calendar. Actually, Pat was a co-chair of the event for 16 years, from 1978 to 1994, and after she passed away, her memorial was held at the Temple of Dendur inside the Metropolitan Museum. Anyway, another huge change initiated by Vreeland was switching the venue of the spectacle. She started hosting the event at the Met itself, home of the Costume Institute that they were raising money for. Vreeland also introduced a theme to each annual event, marking the shift from a typical charity gala into more of a full-blown luxurious party. It became the jewel of New York City's social crown, the epicenter of pop culture, and was covered immensely by the press. The theme of the gala is derived from the Costume Institute's upcoming exhibit that they're commemorating. The exhibition sets the tone for the formal dress of the night, as guests are expected to choose their costumes in line with the dress code. However, this is not mandatory, so many actually don't follow it. The exhibit is then open for several months afterwards. The first, in 1973, was the world of Balenciaga, 1 year after the beloved designer's death. Vreeland decorated the exhibition walls by hanging paintings by Goya, Picasso, and Velázquez. This elevated the clothes of Balenciagas to being pieces of high art. This was also the first time in the gala's history that guests were asked to use the theme to take inspiration for their own outfits. This meant that they too became a part of the show. No one had treated haute couture like this before. Although perhaps not the most extravagant of the many now iconic exhibitions that we see, the world of Balenciaga set a certain standard for everything that followed. During Vreeland's time there, she also worked on romantic and glamorous Hollywood design, Vanity Fair, a treasure trove, and La Belle Époque. Vreeland continued to put on a show until she passed away in 1989. She changed the way we value fashion itself. Her creative instincts were rarely wrong, and the cultural impact of her blockbuster exhibitions were absolute. Trustee Anna Wintour, the artistic director of Condé Nast and editor-in-chief of Vogue, became the event's permanent chairman 6 years later in 1995. She oversees the benefit, the theme, the guest list, the menus, the decoration, the designers, the outfits. Everything goes through Anna. She's proved very triumphant. The gala has become one of the most visible and successful charity events and continually raises 8 figures a year, 12 million in 2014 and a record 17.4 million in 2022. According to Forbes, the Met Gala has raised more than 200 million for the Costume Institute. An example of how the money is often used was displayed in 2014. The First Lady at the time, Michelle Obama, cut the ribbon to mark the official opening of the Costume Institute's new Anna Wintour Costume Center, which has just undergone a 2-year renovation, including a complete redesign. The museum designated the space occupied by the Costume Institute to the Anna Wintour Costume Center. This houses the department's exhibition galleries, library, conservation laboratory, research areas, and offices. However, the curatorial department itself will continue to be called the Costume Institute. It was 2004 that the Met Gala became an event with more elaborate costume moments. That year's theme was dangerous liaisons, fashion and furniture in the 18th century. Notably, model actress Amber Valletta wore a Marie Antoinette meets punk rock look. A year later in 2005, Anna marked the date of the fundraiser from a random day in November, December or April to the first Monday in May. It's been this date every year since, excluding 2020 when it was cancelled and 2021 when it was held in September due to the pandemic. In 2016, Andrew Bolton became curator in charge of the Costume Institute. Under Bolton, we saw some of the Met's most visited exhibitions, but the most visited was Heavenly Bodies. This attracted more than 1.65 1.5 million visitors to the Met Fifth Avenue and the Met Cloisters, another branch of the museum located on the other side of the city. As the world has changed, socialites have become influencers and celebrities. The 2010s became more celebrity-filled with additions of Lady Gaga, Ariana Grande, Beyonce, Rihanna, the Hadid sisters, and the Kardashian-Jenner clan. With this, the ticket prices have increased dramatically. Remember, they started in 1948 at $50. In the 70s and 80s, they were less than $1,000. By 1998, $2,000. 3 years later, in 2001, they cost $3,500. In 2016, solo ticket prices cost a whopping $25,000. And now, the current price of one ticket is reportedly around $30,000, with a table costing upwards of $250,000. Usually, it's designers who purchase the tables and fill them up with celebrities they're dressing for the event. This is their opportunity to showcase their work. However, each person on the guest list has to be approved by the event's chairwoman. Of course, Anna Wintour, and she is picky. There are numerous stories of Wintour telling a company that their intended guests were not up to her standards, and instead, she will be replacing them with other guests. And still, the company had to pay. That's 600 to 750 guests selected specifically by Anna to attend the event, and nobody knows who will be invited until the night before, when the guest list is finally released. Along with the guests, Wintour names a co-chair and sometimes honorary chair. The role of co-chair includes helping to curate the guest list, working with chefs to create the thematic menu, and helping to find the atmosphere by assisting interior designers with decor choices. An honorary chair is a chairperson in name only, lends credibility to the event, and helps promote it amongst the public. Of course, all co-chairs work hand in hand with permanent co-chair Anna Wintour, who ultimately has the final say when it comes to pulling the evening together. The event is a cocktail hour followed by dinner. It's during the cocktail hour that the guests make an appearance on the red carpet and tour the new exhibit. After, they are seated for the dinner party while the entertainers of the evening perform. Another thing introduced by Anna was a list of strict rules that everyone must follow. Whilst the main reason for the introduction has never been explained, I'm guessing it's to maintain the air of exclusivity, class, and chicness expected at the Met Gala. So rule 1 is no cell phones. Rule 2, no selfies. Rule 3, no publicists. Rule 4, no smoking, though it is a statewide law in New York that there is no smoking indoors. Rule 5, no children. Everyone must be over the age of 18. Rule 6, no smelly food. For the sake of guest breath and teeth, there's a ban on onion, garlic, parsley, and basically anything that could linger in your mouth. Rule 7, you must mingle. Wintour arranges the seating chart so that you're sat with new people. So yes, she even splits up couples. The whole point of these things is to meet new people and to be interested in what others are doing. What's the point if you come here to hang out with your husband? Obviously, such a huge event is bound to cause some controversy. So before we go through what to expect at this year's gala, here's a few memorable moments we wanted to share. In 2009, models Naomi Campbell and Stephanie Seymour pulled out of attending the Met last minute in support of designer Azzedine Alaïa, who discovered that none of his work was included in the exhibition. Alaïa was well known for having close relationships with his models, and his exclusion from the Modeller's Muse exhibit was seen as a snub. He criticised Wintour, with whom he's had a long-time feud with, for having too much power over this museum. In 2014, a streaker made their way onto the carpet. They weren't able to make it up the stairs, but nevertheless caused a commotion. This was followed by a fight in the elevator at the after-party between Solange Knowles, Beyonce's sister, and Jay-Z. MTV got hold of the security tape and it went viral. It showed Solange angrily speaking at Jay-Z before turning into a physical altercation in which she hits and kicks him. In 2021, a US Democrat representative of New York, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, attended wearing a white off-the-shoulder gown with the phrase "tax the rich" sewn onto the back in bold red lettering. Many people commented how it was hypocritical to condemn wealth inequality while attending an event with a $35,000 ticket. As mentioned at the beginning, in 2022, Kim Kardashian attended wearing Marilyn Monroe's original dress, which caused so much controversy on social media. Lily Reinhardt even risked her invite to next year's event by voicing her opinion on her Instagram story. For the 2023 Met Gala, the theme was remembering the late designer Karl Largafeld, who passed away in February 2019 after 7 decades of dedication to the fashion industry. Titled in honor of Karl, the theme accompanies 2023's exhibition at the Costume Institute called Karl Lagerfeld, A Line of Beauty, which includes 150 pieces from Karl's career at Chloe, Fendi, Chanel, and his own label. As usual, the Costume Institute curator Andrew Bolton is in charge of the exhibition, which he says will not be a traditional retrospective, while Amanda Harleck, who worked closely with Lagerfeld for years, is the show's creative consultant. Fittingly, this year's Met Gala dress code will encourage guests to choose looks from the late creative director's vast archives at Chanel, Fendi, Chloe, Balmain, Patou, and his eponymous brand. The grandiosity of this event is unmistaken. Every year, all eyes focus on the carpet to see what the celebrities are wearing. Unforgettable moments and memes are born. Kim Kardashian leading the way from her first Met floral dress, to her Balenciaga shadow look, to her drippy Mugler corset. She always causes a commotion. Some doubted her attendance this year, but it's safe to say, without her, there would be less of a conversation. Another queen of the ball, Blake Lively, shows up and shows out. Last year, wearing a gown on theme. America, an anthology of fashion, she transformed into the Statue of Liberty. From major attendees, Rihanna, the Jenner sisters, Gaga, Katy Perry, and the Hadids, to newer additions such as Emma Chamberlain and Jack Harlow's meme moment last year, the Met brings together the industries for one night in a celebration of the arts. And there's always so much to cover, we've barely scratched the surface. Let's not forget where it all started though. This transformation from a dinner party to the biggest, most extravagant night of the year is spectacular, but it undoubtedly raises some questions. Where does all the money really go? Is it fair to call this a charity ball? After all the millions raised, it doesn't help society directly. And most whispered of them all, is the Met a dying facade ruined by influencers and celebrities in pursuit of hype online? We don't think so. It's a celebration of fashion and couture. Designers still get the opportunity to show off their work, and unless something major happens, I doubt this night will be leaving the social calendar anytime soon. Let us know what you think in the comments.